Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's virtual plant clinic. My name is Bill Lester. I'm with University of Florida IFAS Extension Service here in Hernando County, and we are, or I should say, I am here today to help answer your lawn and garden questions. So, as always, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. Whether you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, or on both, go ahead and put your questions in the comments and I'll be able to see them and show them, and we'll do our very best to answer them for you. So let's see. Bernie is supposed to be here this morning, but I think he's tied up doing something at the moment. Colby may be joining us in a little bit. They're redoing the phone system over at his office, and he's been tied up with that. Um, Today, believe it or not, good morning, Bassem. How are you doing? Today, believe it or not, is a special day. Today is just about the 5-year anniversary of the weekly virtual plant clinic. Now, I know that we haven't been on for a couple of weeks. All of us have been tied up with conferences and meetings. Colby was busy with getting married recently. Want to congratulate him for that. And, everything that goes along with that and taking time off of work and the honeymoon. So we've all been kind of busy recently. Good morning, Bill. How are you? Hey, at least I'm not all alone here, all by myself today. So, like I said, this is the 5-year anniversary of doing this. And if you go all the way back to beginning of April 2020, at the very beginning of the COVID issue, we all had to go home and work from home. So our previous Florida Friendly Landscape Coordinator, Lily Browning, and I had the idea that we should do something online. If people have lawn and garden questions, they could ask us live. We can go ahead and answer it. We could share pictures, links to more information, and that way we could still be of value to people, even though the office is closed and they can't come down and see us, face to face in person. So things went on just fine. Lily is not able to be here today. She's still living up in Pennsylvania, retired from her Florida Friendly Landscape position. And just recently, she has taken on the part-time position of Master Gardener Coordinator up there in Armstrong County, Pennsylvania. So we want to congratulate Lily, but she wasn't able to be here with us today either. So I guess I'm just Lonely Bill today, the lonely extension agent here to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll do our very best to get them answered. Let me ask, I know at least two of the people who are watching us today, because they both commented. So Bassem and Bill, how long have each one of you been watching this? Approximately how many years? Because I can't even remember exactly who was the first person to start following us. And we've had some people come and go. We had a gentleman who lived in Michigan, I believe, follow us for, oh my gosh, it was like a year or more. And he was a regular and he was very, very active. Oh my gosh, Bassam, we need to send you a prize or something. You've actually been here since the very beginning, 5 years ago. Time flies. It really does. It feels like we just started doing this just recently. And Bill, I know that you've been on there for quite a while also. So, gosh, look at all these regulars. I should have had my bosses on here this morning so they could read all this. I'll be sure to share it with them one way or the other. So, if you have any lawn and garden questions, anything you want to chat about, one thing I can think of that we have been involved in really for about a year or so at this point. I'm sure most all of you know that one of the most popular things to grow here anywhere in Florida is citrus. And people move to Florida, and the first thing they want to do is put an orange tree in the backyard so they can pick oranges every morning and make fresh squeezed orange juice. Not quite that easy, but it is kind of possible. And they want palm trees because that's very, very tropical in Florida also. Well, for a number of years, growing any kind of citrus in the home landscape in Florida has been really difficult. Citrus gets a lot of different insect pests, a lot of different diseases. But one terrible disease that came through Florida is called citrus greening. And that is spread by a very, very tiny little flying insect that spreads the bacterial disease from tree to tree to tree. And if your citrus tree gets it, the leaves turn kind of a mottled yellow. You'll lose a lot of leaves. You'll lose a lot of fruit. Tree quits producing fruit. And in anywhere from a few months to just a few years, your tree is going to die. So that's made it really, really difficult for people to be able to grow citrus here in Hernando County and all over Florida. But recently, our Master Gardener Nursery, and let me go ahead and pull up their information with their address for you right there. We've been able to purchase and resell citrus trees that are citrus greening resistant. And what this means is the trees can get citrus greening. And if you send a sample off to the lab, they go ahead and plate it out and do all their tests on it. And they say, yes, this tree has citrus greening, but it does not cause any symptoms, no damage, no fruit loss, no yellowing of the leaves, and your tree will grow and flower and give you fruit and work just great. And the one variety that is on the market now that people can get a hold of is called Sugar Bell. And what that is it's a mandarin type orange, and it's very cold resistant also. You know, they grow Sugar Bell mandarin oranges all the way up into southern Georgia. And they always get cold weather up there every winter. It definitely freezes, they get frost, but the trees, once they get a little bit older and larger, are able to tolerate that. So our nursery has been able to get Sugar Bell trees and resell them for a very attractive price. And for any of you who have purchased one, that's great. I hope everything's working out for you. I've heard from a number of people that the trees grow very well. They'll buy it, they'll plant it in the ground, and then within a year or so, they go, gosh, it's doing great. It's growing. Keep in mind, any small citrus trees are going to take, generally on average, about 3 years till they get to the point where they're able to flower, fruit, and you're getting a harvest off of them. So you're not going to get oranges, the day after you purchase a tree and plant it. It takes some time. You have to be patient. But everybody I've spoken with who's gotten one of the trees, they're doing very, very well. And they are not all dying from citrus greening, which is great. So our nursery will be getting more of these trees. We're going to be getting them on and off. So visit our Master Gardener Nursery. There's the address right there. They're on Oliver Street in Brooksville. They're located right behind the Hernando County Fairgrounds. And they're there Wednesday morning and Saturday morning from 8:30 in the morning until noon. When it gets hotter in the summer, they're going to be closing at 11. But right now they're open till noon because the weather is pretty nice right now. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful this morning. It was like upper 50s. I see that right now it is sunny and 70 degrees outside. So if you're anywhere in Central Florida, if there's any way that you can blow off work and go out and do something, I would highly advise it. I'm not recommending that you blow. I hope my boss isn't listening, but try to get out there and enjoy the beautiful weather. This weekend, I think, is going to be beautiful also. So get out there and enjoy it. But Sam, you are very, very welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on a regular basis and asking questions. It kind of gives us something to talk about and keeps us engaged and keeps us coming back. And Sam wants to know how my finger lime tree is doing. Are they easy to grow and produce for us? Hey, look who's here.
I'm sorry. I had a client and, we're shorthanded, so nothing I could do. So
that's kind of what I figured. I was kind of trying to carry things for a little while here. Apparently, Colby there are redoing the phone system over at his office, and that has him kind of tied up. So he may or may not be on at some point this morning. But hey, I was just talking about Sugar Bell mandarin oranges that we have been able to offer at the Master Gardener Nursery. Today, or technically about a week or so ago, the very beginning of April, was our 5-year anniversary of doing this. And both Bassem has been here from the very beginning, and Bill's been here from pretty much the beginning also. So, and Bassem asked about how my finger lime tree is doing. It's doing great. Since I planted it, it grew a little bit late last summer into fall. Over the winter, it's just kind of sat there. It has not lost a single leaf. None of the leaves have turned yellow or brown. It's a beautiful green. The cold weather we got didn't bother it at all. I'm not sure what the lowest temperature is that it could have handled, but it took that one night of like, I think it got down to about 27 at my house. Didn't bother it at all. So I need to fertilize it and start watering it on a regular basis to get it kind of kicking it up and going for this spring and summer. But my finger lime it looks tough as nails, as close as I can tell.
I have finger lime, and it's kind of interesting because I just spent some time a couple of days ago working with the plant. It started growing some shoots below the graft, which I took off.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been really happy. The original growth uh, kind of yellowed, and it wasn't real exciting, but it's putting on new growth. It's got a flush starting,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really looking good on the flush. So I think it's finally decided that it's going to be there, and it's going to take off and do what it should. So uh, I'm very happy with the plant now. It was kind of not a good thing a month ago, but it is looking really good. This, like I said, this new flush is beautiful. So I think we're
Yeah,
set.
yeah. I've heard and read from other people who have trees that are a couple years old that it's like other citrus. It takes a couple years for it to get to the point where it's going to flower and fruit, and you're getting anything kind of worthwhile off of it. I read somebody had a tree that's just a few years old, and they're getting like 10 pounds or more of fruit off of it a year. It flowers and fruits over a long period of the year. I'm sure not in the dead of winter, but the rest of the year it does really well. So, boy, it's watch out for the thorns, though, guys. Anybody else here has one?
Yeah.
Beware of those thorns. They're scary. Okay, I see we got a few other people on here. Ann says sugar bells make wonderful juice. Yes, they should. And good morning, Buddy. How are you doing? I think Buddy has been on here since just about the very beginning. If you weren't on here at the very when we first started, this is basically our 5-year anniversary show today. So I can't remember who was the first to join us or first to be on here who's still with us. Here's one, and I know exactly what Bill is talking about. I've seen these ads also in Facebook posts about using creeping red thyme as a ground cover or turf alternative. And I can picture the picture that I've seen where people use it in no man's land, the little strip between the sidewalk and the street where your mailbox sits in front of in a subdivision house, and replacing the grass with creeping red thyme. And it's a beautiful ground cover, and it's green, but it flowers, attracts pollinators. I'm almost positive creeping red thyme does not do well in Central Florida. It's not. If you grew it as a container plant, you might be able to keep a container of it going. Putting it in your yard, in the situation it's going to face out in your lawn, full sun, harsh elements, heavy rain, everything else, it's not a good choice for Florida. Maybe up north, it works great. Anybody asked you about unusual ground covers, Bernie, that just don't do it well here?
Not really. I do get a lot of people interested in ground covers now. So uh, it's one of those things. There are a lot of people that are wanting to do away with grass, and rightfully so. You know, grass is just not a plant that is happy in Florida at all. Under best conditions, it's a miserable, unhappy plant, and under normal conditions, it's a nuisance. So, you know, ground covers work very, very well. I have a friend that replaced their entire yard, and they had a big yard with two or three different ground covers, put some little paths in. Front yard was beautiful doing that. So, uh, it's one of those things you can do it as simple as just putting in some perennial peanut and having the green and yellow flowers. Uh, everything seems to have a little minor thing to offset it. That the perennial peanut does tend to turn brown in the winter, but it comes back. It's gorgeous. So but then if you were up north, do you remember the fact that the grass turned brown in the summer? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and who cares what it looked like when it was covered with snow? So, but it is an easier plant to grow up north. Oh, getting some nice looking things that uh, I kind of
Yes.
like mimosa intermixed with bahia. I think the mimosa strigolosa, little pink puff balls, um, look kind of cute.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Well, this is what creeping red thyme looks like, and it looks very pretty. And it says technically it's hardiness zones 4 through 9, although I think putting it as a ground cover outdoors in a large area is going to just be really, really tough here in Central Florida.
I'll be back.
My guess is you could probably grow it in a container, keep it in partial sun, partial shade, and it will probably do pretty well as a container plant. But I'm thinking that it's just probably not going to survive very well when it comes to growing out there in the middle of your front yard. So I see Barney got yanked away from us momentarily here.
Yeah, there's nobody out front, so somebody came in. I had to
Oh, okay.
call back.
Good morning, Susan. How are you? I know the Susan's been watching us and joining us for a number of years, quite some time. And she says, the plant that they call ramps or wild onion or garlic. Yes, we do have wild onion. We have wild garlic here in Florida. Is in season. It does look like a fine leaf border grass or decorative grass when it's established. And cats don't care for it. I can understand that. I can understand why cats and other animals wouldn't want to be digging in it. It does smell like very strong wild onion or very strong garlic. Um, it is edible. You obviously want to wash it very well. You want to be very careful to properly ID any plant before eating it if it's out in the wild or out in your lawn. Don't just assume it's wild garlic and eat it. Make sure it is. Bill says Sterling Hill has finally approved ground cover alternatives for the street strip this year, which is great. That is a really difficult place to grow turf grass and keep it growing and looking good. People drive on it. And even if you don't drive on it, other people will pull up on it. That's usually where you run across the most broken sprinkler heads, is in that area. Turf grass right up against something hot like a sidewalk, driveway, or curb can get really hot during the summer, and that's just that much more stressful and tougher for it. So that's usually where we start to see the first problems. We take all root rot and other issues is in that area. They require the plantings to be 4 inches apart. Sounds expensive. Yeah, if you were to fill it in with, I know Asiatic jasmine is very commonly used because it's a pretty tough plant. It tolerates that stressful spot. Perennial peanut would be another good choice to just fill in that area. So buying enough of them where you're going to place them 4 inches apart is going to be quite a few plants or plugs. Although, if everything goes well, you're not going to have to replace it In a lot of HOAs, if you replace the grass there within a year, it may be dead or at least partially dead. Now you're going to have to replace it again and again and again. And that's when it starts to get really expensive, when you're replacing things over and over. So Bernie, you'll have to remember that if you get anybody from Sterling Hill in, you can suggest that they could put in a ground cover, or with anybody else, check with your homeowners association and find out how they feel about it first before you go.
Wonder if they require that everything be done, that the entire thing be filled at one time. I mean, you could, like it with Asiatic jasmine, start at both ends and let it slowly fill in, which it would do.
Yeah. I don't know. You'd have to check the specific rules. Every HOA is different. And I have no idea what kind of rules yours has. So you need to check with them. And yeah, Bill says, yeah, the whole strip. So.
Okay. Well, that's expensive in that case. The poor little lady that I was talking to before I came on, has a situation where the homeowners association mows the lawns, mows them at 2 inches, absolutely will not raise it, and then fines the people for not replacing the sod. She said her and 7 of her neighbors have to replace the sod. Well, she's got take all so bad, if you keep mowing at 4 inches, you're going to have to keep selling it. So apparently somebody on the HOA is in the sod business or something,
That could be, and that's a difficult situation to be in. University of Florida has a lot of information online for homeowners associations, how they can go about changing their rules or looking for contracts with lawn care professionals, fertilizing professionals, people like that. But it's just a difficult situation. I tell people, go to your homeowners association meetings, get involved, be the change that you want to see. So either you yourself or find somebody to run for office. And if you don't like the rules, you have a say in it. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. Don't try something dramatic and really out there, because that's going to be a little difficult to get people to jump on board. So I know a couple of years ago in Orlando, they were trying to change code enforcement rules where you can have a vegetable garden in your front yard, because there were people in residential neighborhoods who wanted to just plow up the whole front yard and grow corn. I think it's a great idea, but not everybody thinks like I do. A lot of people objected to that. That's pretty, I'm not going to, kind of out there. So try to take things step by step. For anybody who's having a homeowners association issue in Hernando County, contact us, contact Colby. We can give you Florida-friendly landscape ideas. We are more than happy to give presentations to HOAs, help work with them. We have worked with them before to change their rules about what kind of turf grass they require. If St. Augustine always dies in everybody's yard in your neighborhood, maybe it's not the best choice. Maybe something else is a better choice. And once you have to replace it enough and it gets really expensive, people become more open to considering things other than St. Augustine. It's funny at first because they're all like, oh, everything else is ugly. We must have St. Augustine because it's beautiful. When you start jacking up their HOA fees over and over and over and over again, all of a sudden they're like, well, Bahia looks okay. I guess I can get used to it. I guess I could support this. So work with your homeowner association. Don't be afraid to run for president and help to be a part of adopting common sense rules for the whole neighborhood. Sometimes these rules just make no sense.
It's a very difficult concept that at 28 degrees north latitude, no place on Earth is there a natural grass that will produce a lawn. So, we are bringing something into the state that is not a native. It's a definite exotic. Exotic. We plant it in mass planting, so we have a monoculture of an exotic plant, and it does exactly what it should. It develops diseases and pretty much tries to go away. And we do everything we can to say, oh no, you can't die. I spent a lot of money on you and moved you to a place that you shouldn't even be. So, and if you're from up north, I kind of understand that. You, the you live in Indiana, and you need a lawn. You go to the store, you buy a box of grass seed, you scatter it, and when you scatter it, magically in 3 weeks you have a beautiful lawn. And it's scary how easy that works. And uh, you know, but we don't have weeks and weeks and weeks of 80, 90-degree weather. We have it for a little while. The grass turns brown. Then we get over that really hot spell, our Indian summer thing, and the grass turns green again. Well, you come here and you kind of expect to, nothing really changed that much when you drove down I-75. So why should grass be any different? But on the other hand, you understand that you can't grow palm trees in Indiana. If you want a Bismarck palm in Indiana, it's just not going to happen. You want a Sylvester palm, it's not going to happen. Well, for the exact same reason that you can't do the palms up north, you can't do grass here. And we found some varieties that we're forcing to survive. And we're doing it not out of what's best for Florida, but out of the vanity for man. So, and I like it green. I think it's much prettier when it's all green. But I grew up where it was all green. So as long as I can mow it and it's still green, that's going to be good enough for me now.
Yeah, and there's so many things it depends on. Depends on exactly where you live, the soil type that you have, how sunny or shady your yard is. If you try growing turf grass underneath thick oak trees, it's never going to be very thick or do very well. Even here in Hernando County, the soil is different around parts of the city of Brooksville as opposed to Spring Hill, and that makes a very large difference. Depends on how you manage it. So if you as the homeowner are cutting the grass and doing everything, we can give you the handouts and all the information on how to do it. But like you said, the lady you were talking to, she has a service that cuts the grass, and she has no say over how they do it. I'm sure they think that they're doing it right. And if they're cutting St. Augustine at 2 inches high, they're doing it wrong. And try convincing somebody of that. They don't want to hear that.
Well, I gave her the university piece that says that 3.5 to 4 inches is correct. And, go take this and show it to them and say, we're doing it wrong. Here's what the university says. And then if you can't get anybody to listen, then go to your neighbors and say, hey, let's vote in Charlie next time in the HOA. Remember, you do control those HOAs.
Yeah.
The fact that most people don't want to get involved, I understand, but eventually it costs you enough money that maybe you need to be involved. So.
Okay, new question asker Jennifer, who I don't think I've noticed Jennifer asking questions on here before, says she has a very low growing grass that is spreading fast and choking out the bahia that she now has. Any ideas what it could be? I actually really like it because it's like a carpet that hardly needs to be mowed. We have a lot of different weeds here in Florida. And to make it more confusing, some of them grow in the winter. They're the cool season weeds. Some grow in the summer. They're the warm season weeds. Right now, we're in a transition time. The cool season weeds are still there, and they're big and beautiful and thick and lush, but they're about to die and disappear till next fall. And the warm season weeds are just now germinating, popping up and coming up. So you may have some type of carpet grass or crabgrass or crowfoot grass or something like that. There's a lot of it's all very similar. There's a number of different species that you really have to look at a physical sample to find the difference between exactly what type of whether it's tropical signal grass or this kind of grass. But really, it doesn't matter. Whichever species it is, it all grows very quickly, aggressively, spreads, stays low. If you can deal with it, just keep it cut. Keep it cut, and it will be green and it will cover your lawn. A lot of them, what happens is they'll grow all summer long and then they die in the fall. So there's a lot of times where in the fall or the winter, you'll have areas that were green that are now all of a sudden brown. But that's okay because the weeds will pop up again and they're going to turn green again. So I know that my lawn is maybe at best during the summer, we'll be generous to say 75% Bahia and the rest, every kind of weed imaginable. I got all kinds of stuff out there, but it's green, keeps the ground covered. I keep it cut. I bag the clippings. I compost all of them, and they all go into my vegetable garden, either as finished compost or as mulch to help keep down the weeds in the vegetable garden. And all of that works just great for me. I meet all my goals. So, Jennifer, do you live in an HOA? If you do, we might have a problem here. And she says that hers was green all year too. Yeah, mine is generally pretty green all year long. If it's dry for a long time, it'll turn brown and look terrible. But as soon as it rains, boom, it all comes back, turns green, and grows. My lawn, along with all my neighbors, looks pretty rough during the winter, but it's winter. You know, your lawn's going to look rough.
I had a woman that had this little tiny wild grass growing, and she liked it. She would take little tufts of it and put it in different parts of the lawn, and finally got it to overtake the whole lawn. She lived in an area where her yard was only like 20 by 18 or something like that, and I thought it looked pretty nice. She had a picture. It was very pretty. I have no clue what it was. I don't know where she got it. She doesn't know where it came from, but
Uh-huh.
so I see nothing wrong with doing that. It's like overseeding with rye on your bahia in the winter. Works beautiful. The prettiest lawn you'll ever see is overseeded rye that has been freshly mowed. It just looks like $1,000,000.
But that rye will burn up and die in the
Yes, it
spring.
will.
Normally it by about now, but it's been fairly cool, so it might last a little bit longer. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to who try to replace their lawn and they say, well, can I put in ryegrass? I say, yeah, for during the winter, but it doesn't grow in the summer here. Oh, the store said it does. Well, no, it doesn't. Try it. You'll find out the hard way.
Yeah.
You may
And
not.
on TV, they advertise a lot of those grasses that, oh, they're even southern grasses. Well, they're southern to maybe Atlanta.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just don't make it down here. You could, if you're in Charleston, you might work fine in Charleston, but uh, once you hit the peninsula of Florida, uh, it's tough. It's there's very few grasses. I mean, we've got 5 legitimate grasses that grow someplace in Florida, and can be made to uh, be sustainable. So if that's the word, I think sustainable, it probably is the description of the lawn. If you can do a sustainable lawn someplace, it's going to take a lot of effort and probably some money. And if you don't want to put in the effort, you don't want to put in the money, then it's not going to be possible. There is no carefree lawn in Florida.
Well, mine is, but I don't have very high expectations for having a monoculture of any particular turf grass. So I don't water mine. I don't fertilize it. It is what it is. I have more important things going on in my life than obsessing over the lawn, other than if it gets long, thinking, well, I got to go out and cut it this weekend. And that's about all I do with it. Now, real quick, you might have noticed that I changed the background picture here, which this picture was sent to us about a year or so ago from somebody who was complaining about our watering restrictions here in Hernando County. Because for many years, you're only allowed to water your lawn once a week here in Hernando County. And your day when you're allowed to do so is determined by the last number in your address. And this person said, well, I need to water my lawn today because I just fertilized it. So if you look at this picture, you can see his lawn down below here. Whatever he fertilized accomplished absolutely nothing. He essentially has no lawn. Whatever little bit of green stuff is still there, and I did take this picture, I zoomed in. Looks like maybe once upon a time, a long time ago, it was a St. Augustine lawn. But somebody has been setting his lawnmower at the lowest setting and cutting it maybe an inch high. And then he reverted to 98% weeds, and he's cutting his lawn so short that even the weeds are dead. So fertilizing bare dirt will not make the grass grow. Fertilizer combined with soil does not magically create grass and then have it grow. So throwing fertilizer on something like this is almost the equivalent of taking that bag of fertilizer out to Weeki Wachee Springs and just dump it in the water. Because other than the tiny little bit of weeds that would have taken up a little bit of that fertilizer he put down, all the rest is either going to run off or leach through the soil and eventually make it down to the groundwater one day. But the interesting thing is, if you look at the top of the picture, his neighbor across the street has a beautiful green St. Augustine lawn. And once again, I zoomed in on this picture, and you have to look really close. It looks like they are, believe it or not, actually cutting it about 4 inches high. And they have a beautiful, from what I can see from, at a distance, beautiful, green, otherwise healthy St. Augustine lawn that when they fertilize it, as long as they fertilize it with the correct amount during a time of year when it's actively growing, a lawn like that is going to suck up all the fertilizer you put on it. They have to continue cutting it high and managing it correctly. But you know what? For Spring Hill, that's a darn good looking St. Augustine lawn. You don't see that very often. So I need to, you can actually see somebody in the driveway too. Congratulations to them. If by some chance they're on here watching, hey, that's my house. You have a good looking lawn. You did something right.
They did another thing that I like, the little island around the trees. I think that is a great way to go. Reduces the amount of grass that you've got. Um, grass normally doesn't do that well around the trees. Keeps you from running into the trees with the mower.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you a little color. I mean, that's legitimate landscaping, and it's easy to do. And if you look at the edge of the road by the mailbox, you can see that St. Augustine there is definitely higher than just an inch or two. So there's people doing things right, and they did a really nice job. I agree with you. That is a beautiful lawn. And if you look at the house to the right, all the way to the right of the top of the picture, you see another one of those houses where it's had no care at all.
Or incorrect care.
Yeah.
People get this idea of, my grass is growing really fast. I hate cutting it. If I cut it real short, I won't have to cut it as often. Well, you end up with the picture on the bottom. Cut it really short, it's going to end up really dead. Cut it correctly, and it's going to end up more like the people across the street here.
It's like the people with queen palms. If we knock off 8 or 9 of the bottom fronds, I won't have to cut it again for 6 months. Well, it doesn't change the length of time before you have to do it again, but it does change how healthy the plant is. So eventually your trees get sick and die, and you don't understand why. So
Here, let me take us out of here so that you can get a good look.
As it gets, isn't it?
That's an example of, wow, I really hate trimming my palm tree. If I leave just one leaf, I won't have to do it again for a whole year. And you're right, you probably won't have to do it again for a year, but that is absolutely horrible for the health of a palm tree. It will shorten its life. A lot of times you can do that a few times and think, well, I've been doing that for years, Bill. What are you talking about? My palm tree always grows back. And then you prune it like that once and it doesn't grow back. It gives up the ghost. It just throws in the towel and goes, I give up, and dies and doesn't flush out again. So that can happen.
Yeah, my neighbor hurricane cut all of her palms, and I know 3 of them died. So
Yep, it happens. And oh my gosh, was it disease? Was it a bug? What do I spray? It's like, no, it was abuse. After a certain point, that abuse just doesn't end. So going back to Jennifer, she says that she does not have an HOA. She's got 4 acres of ag residential, and she asks, how do I send you a picture of it? That is a great question. And oh my gosh, time is flying by today. It's time for us to start with showing all of you our links. So the best place to send those pictures to would be me, and there is my email address. And if you want to get in touch with me, by far the best way to get in touch with me is by email, because I'm here, I'm there, I'm gone. Oh, I'm gone next Thursday. I have to go to St. Augustine all day for a conference. I tried to get out of it, but couldn't, so I won't be here. We'll see if Colby wants to come back and run things next week. So I'm all over the place. So best thing to do is just shoot me an email, send me pictures, lots of pictures, and we can help you figure out what's going on. And if you want to get in touch with Bernie, there is our phone number. You can call the office and speak with Bernie. He is here on Thursdays pretty much all day. You can follow us on Facebook, and there is our Facebook. Our short name on Facebook is Hernando EXT. Everything we have going on, all of our upcoming classes, events, activities. Last Saturday, we had a great big Earth Day event at our Master Garden Nursery. If you were there, thank you so much for coming out. You and a bunch of other people did. We had a really, really good turnout. It was a great, beautiful day. Great time. Lots of tables and people handing out information. So if you're wondering, well, where is this nursery you speak of? There is the address. They're located right behind the Hernando County Fairgrounds, right along State Road 41 in Hernando County. If you would like to learn more about specific gardening topics, Hernando County government has a YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and go to that little search box at the very top and type in Hernando County government. They have a YouTube channel. If you go to it and look under the playlists, there's one for Florida Friendly Landscaping. Lily still has over 100 recorded classes on there. Each one's about an hour long. So she covers pretty much all of it. Whatever she doesn't cover, me with Extension has a playlist with a lot of recorded classes on different specific crops, sweet potatoes, calabaza, citrus, a bunch of other topics. So go there and check that out. A lot of good learning. Bum, 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 bum. Colby, like I said earlier, was not able to make it with us. But if you need any information on Florida Friendly Landscaping and you live in Hernando County, go ahead and there is Colby's direct email address. And here is his link tree that also has a link to contact him and information about all of his classes and programs going on. He does rain barrel classes where you can purchase a rain barrel from Hernando County Utilities. That's for Hernando County residents only. And we have a compost bin class. All the information you need is right there on Colby's linked tree. So go ahead and check that out. I think that's it. I think I just covered it all. in a good amount of time. And Jennifer says, awesome, thank you. Yeah, Jennifer, just shoot me an email, send me pictures. We'll help figure out what that weed is. Like I said, I've learned over the years, people pop in and they say, I have a problem with my lawn. I have Bahia, I have St. Augustine, I have this, I have that. I have a weed. What's the name of the weed? And they're intent on knowing the cool name, tropical signal grass, or something or other crabgrass, or whatever kind of cool crow's foot grass. And when it gets big, it has leaves and growing parts that looks like a big bird's foot. That's how it got its common name, crow's foot grass. And those names are all cool and everything, but sometimes it gets to the point I'm like, okay. Let's stop. What is your goal? I understand you have a lawn. I see pictures or samples about what's going on. What is your goal? What do you want to be at? Do you live in an HOA? The lawn has to look perfect. Are you like Bill? My wife said, I must keep the dirt covered with something. She can't tell the difference between turf, grass, weeds, whatever. And I must keep it cut. And I do that and I achieve my goal. So what exactly is your goal? And sometimes people will tell me like, oh, well, I don't care. As long as it's green, that's fine. I'm good. So in that case, whatever weeds you have, keep it green, keeps the ground covered. Many of them are host plants for little butterflies, moths, other insects. A lot of them will flower. In my lawn, I have a lot of uh, frogfoot or fog fruit, whatever you want to call it, whatever the common name is. And that really it is a host plant for caterpillars of several different butterflies. And I get a boatload of those little butterflies in my yard just because I have its host growing as part of my lawn, and it gets cut. The mower gets run over it like everything else, and I still end up with tons of those little butterflies all over. So need to think about what is your goal, what are you really trying to achieve, and if you share that with us or any other extension office, that gives them an idea of what direction to point you in. That's the lecture for today.
The big thing on weeds is there's only three kinds of weeds in a lawn. There's broadleaves, there's grassy weeds, and there's sedges. And the broadleaves pretty much all die the same way. You use a broadleaf weed killer, and that gets rid of them. The sedges take a special killer for sedges, and then the grassy weeds, with almost no exceptions, but there is one. If you have a grassy weed in a lawn, you're not going to get rid of it with a chemical, because the chemical that kills the grass kills the grass. And
Yep.
if all your lawns, all these weeds are grassy weeds, and you want them gone, when you spray them, you are going to wipe out all the grass that's there also. So makes it easy. See, people bringing something in and want to identify. Do you want it identified, or you want to get rid of it? Well, I want to get rid of it. Then all you need is broadleaf weed killer for your grass.
Yep.
And the broadleaf weed killers depend on what kind of lawn you have. If you have a St. Augustine lawn, you don't want to use the weed killer you use on Bahia. And if you have Bahia, you don't want to use the weed killer you use on St. Augustine. That's the one situation where you can get rid of one and not the other. If you have Bahia in your St. Augustine, we can get rid of that. And if you have St. Augustine in your Bahia, we can get rid of that. But for the most part, if you have grass in your grass, you cannot do anything about it. You either pull it up, or you live with it, or you resod. And we get so many people. Common Bermuda, it's one of the nastiest things going.
I got it. I got a big patch in the backyard.
Big long runners, you actually can trip over this stuff. It has the ability to go anywhere. I've seen it grow completely across a 12-foot concrete driveway to get to the other side of the driveway. It has stolons, and it has underground root structures. And man, is it hard to get rid of. You pull it up, and you're not getting rid of the underground structures. It comes back it comes back, it comes back. So, uh, and there are some improved uh, Bermudas that, under certain situations, are actually a good grass. If you have a lot of dogs where uh, Bahia can't withstand the traffic, Bermuda can probably take the traffic better than the Bahia would. So uh, I've had two or three situations in 20 years where Bermuda was a good choice, but for the most part, uh, it's not. If you have a golf course and you need short greens, it's your only choice. But if you're uh, Joe homeowner, uh, either Bahia, zoysia if you're in an area with a lot of zoysia, or St. Augustine if you're in an area with a lot of St. Augustine. If you're north, centipede grass. So
Yeah.
that
But
those
centipede has its problems also. None of these turf grasses are
no,
problem.
none of them are perfect, but it depends on where you are. If you're in the villages, you want zoysia because most people have zoysia, and the people doing lawn care are more familiar with zoysia. It has all the same problems that St. Augustine does. They're different, but they're the same. That's kind of a oxymoron thing. But uh, they have their own bug, they have their own funguses, they only have their own problems. But uh, you know, go with what works best in your community, and what works best in your community is usually what most people have, so that most people know how to take care of it. So, and don't worry about it. Don't be uh, so positive that your lawn has to look absolutely perfect, because only
Because it
somebody
won't.
like you cares about it. So, I mean,
Because it probably won't.
yeah. But if you're in Florida because you like the weather and you want to enjoy the place that you're living, enjoy the place you're living and quit worrying about your lawn.
Yeah.
Go to the beach.
Okay, guys, looks like we're kind of getting to that point. So I want to take just a moment and thank everybody, all of our longtime viewers and participants, the people who have been with us for 5 years at this point, believe it or not. I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in today for the first time, possibly. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We try our best to be here every week to answer your lawn and garden questions. I mean, we're here for you, not so much for us. I mean, we like talking, but we're here more for you than for us. And I want to give a real special shout out and thank you for my wife, who 5 years ago during COVID, we did all of these from home. I was at my home office. Lily was at hers. Lily had to kind of clear out her sewing room, I think, and that became her studio. And there were times where she had her dog in her lap and everything. So here, let's see if we can show this picture here. There's my darling wife, and I wanted to thank her for sitting there and listening to me drone on with virtual plant clinics and compost classes and things on every topic imaginable. She was the one who first told me that I had a big room voice. She said, "You don't need to use your big room voice inside the house." What are you talking about? You have a big room voice. Shh, quiet down. I'm trying to work. So, thank you for putting up with all this. And thank you, buddy, for being a long-term viewer. And thank you, Bassem, for joining in also. And we will hopefully be back again next week. Like I said, I won't be able to be here. We'll try to get Colby back because you guys have not had a chance to congratulate him on his wedding, and that went just a few weeks ago. So that's why he was off for a couple of weeks. So if any of you tune in again next week and Colby's here, be sure to tell him congratulations. And other than that, Bernie, thank you so much for joining in and helping with this and kind of picking up the reins with, Lily moving on and moving up to the Great White North. Other than that, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And hopefully we will see you all back here again next week or sometime really soon. So until then, take care. Bye, guys.
Thank you very much, Bill, and congratulations for 5 years. Hope you have another great 5 years.
I
Bye-bye.
hope so too. Bye, guys.